Now, Russian invasion on Ukraine has really left the country in ruins. Houses have been burned, commercial establishments completely destroyed. The horrifying visuals that we have has emerged now that shows the extensive damage on Ukrainian cities. Now, let me take you through some of those images showing the before and after sights of this once glorious country. The city of Mariupol has now suffered significant damage to urban infrastructure. The before and after images here showing destruction that have been caused by Russian troops. Residential buildings, commercial establishments have been destroyed after back-to-back assaults. And here's another city that has been one of the worst hit, Chernihiv. After deadly attacks that's hit the city over the last 22 days, the streets of the city is now filled with dead bodies. Horrifying images coming in of locals carrying the injured and dead that surfaced, showing the fatal aftermath of these attacks. The town of Donetsk region, Makikwa, is in ruins now. Residential buildings and market areas are charred due to repeated shellings by Russian army. Locals now can be seen working together to repair the damage caused by brutal Russian attacks. And in Mariupol, a drama theatre became a shelter for thousands of Ukrainians of that city. Unfortunately, Russians have bombed this theatre with people inside. Every single person taking refuge inside that hospital now, we believe, many of them dead, some of them trapped under debris. No count on the number of casualties that's been reported due to the bombing. Visuals on your screens here, though, showing how this theatre was before, as it stood tall, before the war took place, and now post the destruction and the bombing, this kind of devastation that unfolds in Mariupol. Let me quickly go close to Yevhenia Kravchuk. She is the Ukrainian MP. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you joining us. Kravchuk, if you can give us an understanding of the civilian crisis in Ukraine. We hear that many civilian establishments are being targeted, especially in Mariupol. We see a theatre that's been completely demolished through those bombings. Thousands of people were housed, taking shelter in that theatre. And now the look of it shows that that entire theatre has been destroyed, maybe many of them trapped under debris. Would you elaborate and confirm this for us?
Yes, I agree to you, and thank you for covering the news on war of aggression that Russia is doing in Ukraine. I have some confirmations from Mariupol that bomb shelter where people stayed in this theatre stayed solid. So right now people are getting out of it, and we really hope that most of them are alive and not damaged. But this is a clear war crime, because if you look from the Sputnik or from the jet, how they bombed this theater, Russians bombed, you can see two big signs written "children" on the one and another side of this theater. So when Russians were bombing these theaters, they became a shelter to at least 1,000 of women and kids. They knew they are bombing kids. So this is a clear war crime that Russians are doing. And what they do on their propaganda channels in Russia, they say it was a military base. They lie every day to the world, and they lie every day to their people inside of the Russia to somehow, I don't know, explain why they're killing hundreds and hundreds of Ukrainians every day. So
Yevhenia, as much as you say that, is there an accurate figure of the number of deaths, casualties that Ukraine had to endure? Would you be able to give us some clarity on how many people have succumbed in this war on your side?
If you say about the civilian casualties, only in city of Mariupol, 2,400 people are officially confirmed that they were killed by Russians, and that's the civilians. But I'm afraid the number only in Mariupol is much bigger, because some of these people are still in the basements, and they are blocked, and probably they could have died without water and food, because no one can go and let them out. And also we have a confirmation from our juvenile prosecutor that already over 100 children were killed in this war by Putin and his regime. And I'm sorry to say that the number is much bigger, but we get every day, adding to these casualties. And also we have the confirmation that from our Minister of Defense that now 14,000 of Russian soldiers were killed in this war, and this is the bigger casualties that Russia had in both Chechnya and Afghanistan.
These are Ukraine's claims.
No,
while India today speaks to Russian representatives, they have outrightly denied these reports. They say their formal numbers is 458. That's the number that they've declared as losses on their military.
They are lying to their people, because right now they're taking young soldiers that didn't even finish the war schools or whatever they call the military universities, and are taking them to the war. So they are putting these numbers of casualties from their side much less. And that's why they're using crematoriums to burn the bodies, not to give the bodies to the women, to mothers and wives of these Russian soldiers. So they be keeping lying to their nation and trying to cover the real casualties.
Yevhenia, as much as Ukrainians are putting out a tough fight, stiff resistance, while we see many of your people, civilians who've come, taken up arms, ammunition, are fighting for your country, doubling up as soldiers, helping your army. While we see that, many of you have lost your loved ones. We earlier spoke to one of your MPs who lost the love of his life, a journalist who was killed, Alexandra. It's really heart-wrenching to see how, in the face of these hostilities and this kind of threat to life, you're encouraging your civilians to stay back and stand for your country at this moment. What is your appeal to them? Many of them who've already fled, many of them who want to flee, what would you say to them?
Right now, only women and children are leaving the country, and that's around 3 million of poor moms with their kids on their arms that have to flee the country because they do not have a house anymore. For example, in Mariupol, 80% of all buildings are ruined. They can't be, restructured, rebuilt. They have, you just need to build new buildings in the city, and we will rebuild the city after we'll be victorious. And in those regions where the fighters are the most, there are lines, queues of men who want to go to territorial defense units to take up arms and to defend their country. Russians thought that in these Russian-speaking regions in the east and in the south, people would be greeting them with flowers, but all of the people say, go away, we want Ukraine and we will stay and fight in Ukraine. And also, I think that the biggest courage comes out from our president, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, because from the very beginning until right now, he stays in Kiev. He is in touch with all the political leaders of the world. Basically, 2 days ago, we had the prime ministers of Poland, of Czech Republic, and Slovakia coming to Kiev. They were not afraid to come to Kiev and to have a meeting with President Zelenskyy in Kiev. So he became this symbol of courage for all the people. And right now, 98% of people, they support the army. The army that is taking, the biggest fight for our land and for our freedom.
Well, do stay with us. I'd really appreciate you if you could stay with us. I'm going to quickly cut across to one of the survivors who we managed to connect with, Diana Berg, who's managed to escape from Mariupol. She's a citizen, a concerned citizen of Ukraine who still stands by. Diana, I'm really glad to see you safe. If you can tell us what's the situation currently in your city of Mariupol. We know that it's ravaged. We know that millions have already managed to leave that port city. How did you manage to escape, and what's the current situation?
Hi. Indeed, I managed to escape Mariupol, and this is my second time I escaped my home. First time it was with the start of this war in 2014 in Donetsk, because I'm originally from Donetsk. I lost my home because of Russia second time. So, again, it was a risky, the same like 8 years ago. It was a risky adventure of suicide mission to escape, but also it was a suicide mission to stay, because back then it was 8th day of invasion when we left. Back then we started understanding that this is not war, that this is a terror, because war is when militaries fight between each other. War is when you comply to the war law, but Russia does not. Russia just exterminates the infrastructure, the civilians, the buildings, and makes everything to torture the civilian, peaceful people, innocent people, like they bombed, I don't know, hospitals, bus stations, fire stations. They bombed power stations so that we got out of light and electricity. So just total darkness, no way to charge your phone, no connection, no network. You cannot call. This is just a brick, because it's not charged, and you cannot call even if you have some battery left. You cannot call or know what's going on. Go online, find the news about your country, about the world, about what's happening even in your city. You cannot know it. You only know where the bomb falls, and you hear it, and you see the bodies, and you see the torture. That's it. That's the old news you can get. No water, no heating, no gas, and no way to let the humanitarian aid, like first aid goods, medicine, to let in the city. Nothing left. No fuel, no food, no water, no medicine. That's how Russians fight. So that was the situation when I was there. It just started this blockade. And
I started to think how you managed to pull through the 22 days, Diana. While Russia claims that they're not targeting civilians, today a theater that was attacked in Mariupol really leaves us wondering on their commitment to what they claim. Here we're looking at thousands of people who we believe were inside that theater. Many of them are now caught in rubble under that debris. The casualties are still unknown. A confirmation is yet to come. But even as you've managed to escape, we see bombing continuing in Mariupol. Is there resistance enough to stop the Russian forces at all? Is there any help that you receive from there?
From where?
Help on ground by Ukrainian forces. Are they able to protect that region at all?
Of course. Ukrainian forces and militaries and Azov battalion, actually, that Russians say like nationalists, fascists or something, they are actually angels. And our volunteers who left there in Mariupol, and doctors, medicine workers, they do everything they can to protect the city, and the city remains in the circle of militaries, of Ukrainian militaries. They protect the city. They fight for it. And after this circle of Ukrainians, there are like 3 surroundings of Russians. That's how the blockade works, right? So they do not let nothing. They do not let people out. Only 2 days ago, people started leaving very, very risky, dangerous route like we did on their own cars. So yeah, Russia doesn't keep promises. That's how they are. They are liars. They are terrorists. That's it. Whatever they claim, they always say, "Oh, we knew this hospital was actually occupied by Azov." Oh my God, Azov was is the battalion who just protects, nothing more. They protect us. They protect the city. They fight for the city. They just fight back to these Russian terrorists. Woman died. And,
Diana, while
like
you
in
escape,
this hospital.
these are really gory details that you're sharing with us. But while you did escape, while you managed to escape, was there any coordination, any kind of communication between the forces or those volunteers helping all of you to escape that area? How did you all manage to coordinate and move out? And are people still stranded in Mariupol? What's the situation when it comes to innocent civilians?
There is no coordination because there is no network. I tell it every time, everyone forgets it. If you have nothing to call, nowhere to call, nowhere to text, sorry, you will not be able to coordinate. It would be possible to just somehow go from another city where there is a network to go there and to just pick people, but it's impossible under the constant shelling. This is unimaginable. I know that you will not ever imagine it, but just total humanitarian catastrophe, and there is no way that you can just go and check someone on some address or coordinate something. It's impossible. So people just coordinate. For example, there were no corridor announced when we left. We just sat in our car, and it was like our own risky, adventure. The same now. People managed for the last 2 days to escape. There was no corridor. They just did it on their own. They couldn't make it anymore. They found some fuel. They just self-coordinated. One person wanted to go in the car, then another one, the neighbors saw it, just like on the ground coordination, self-grassroots thing, because they don't secure corridors. They don't cease fire. They do not let aid in. They do not let coordinated evacuation out, because it was all negotiated. It was all kind of secured like a week ago, the corridor and this help from both the regional government and the city government, and along with other businesses and they teamed up in order to evacuate people, to organize it systematically. But Russia does not allow those buses and those machines with aid inside. So people just self-coordinate, just like we did.
It almost is like they're not allowing for humanitarian aid to reach those civilians, and while they do that, they also target civilians who are trying to escape. Those are your claims, and those are really serious claims. Russia has been constantly denying targeting civilians, and it appears that you have managed to escape from that port city of Mariupol, which is now one of those areas that has come heavily under attack. While that said, Diana, if you can give us an understanding on whether or not Russian forces have managed to invade and capture the city of Mariupol completely. They claim to have completely infiltrated, but what's your sense as you see?
No. Mariupol is Ukrainian control. That's what I say. It's controlled by, it's defended by Ukrainian forces, whereas Russia is all over surrounding the city and also bombing it from the airstrikes, from artillery. So that's what they do. They do it just to make people panic. That's how they fight, They just terrorize, they lie. Russia always lies. They bomb us, they just shell us. They want to just smash the city of Mariupol and make it a ruin. You know why? Because Mariupol has always been the symbol of resistance in Ukraine, and since 2014, it was the city who just didn't let Russia Mariupol was fighting back and didn't let Russia to go inside Ukraine and occupy it more. And I think it's a kind of a revenge. They want to ruin the symbol of protest and resistance. They want to occupy it as well. That's what I see,
and that's what we see extensively. Russia, of course, now are inching closer. They want to and intend to occupy, but so far the resistance that's come in from Ukrainians. Kudos to your spirit, your courage, and I'm really glad that both of you all are doing okay. I really hope that you're safe and your families are safe, and wishing for this war to end at the earliest. Thank you very much. Really appreciate Yevhenia and Diana for joining us and taking your time.
Thank you.
All right, these are haunting images that are coming in on day 22 of this Russia-Ukraine war. Remember, all these days we're seeing Russia only escalating its offensive. Despite talks that happen parallelly, Russia has been constantly bombarding. There seems no signs of any de-escalation so far. But yet Ukraine hoping that they come to a certain compromise only to end this war and civilian casualties at the earliest. India Today has been persistent on this coverage. Even on day 22, we're going to take you through all the situation as it unfolds. For now, slipping into a short break. We'll be right back.